Yes, now people, it's Charlie, and welcome back to the Chatting Footy Show YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing well today. So then, guys, as we all know, Gareth Southgate has today picked basically a 33-man provisional squad for this summer's Euros, which takes place in just a few weeks' time. He will be narrowing it down to 26-man team this time next week. So there'll be 7 players that will unfortunately have to miss out on this summer's Euros, but we'll find out that, as I said, next week. Just before we get into the talking points of this 33-man squad, as always, please smash that like button and please subscribe, and let's get into it. So then, guys, let's kick things off with the goalkeepers then. So the main talking point of the goalkeeper situation for this team is that Nick Pope has not been selected. He is injured, though, so it is understandable for the reason why he hasn't been selected. In comes Aaron Ramsdale and Sam Johnston. Aaron Ramsdale from Sheffield United and Sam Johnston from West Bromwich Albion. Obviously, the two obvious picks, Pickford, who seems to be the number one keeper, and Dean Henderson is the obvious replacement at number 2. If he picks a third keeper out of Johnston and Ramsdale, for me, I would rather him go with Johnston. I know he didn't play exactly well against Leeds the other day, but I think overall this season in the Premier League, I think Johnston has done way better than Aaron Ramsdale. Aaron Ramsdale is a woeful goalkeeper, and let's be honest, he's only in this team because Nick Pope isn't. If Nick Pope is in this team, then Johnston doesn't even get a look in, as Pope, Pickford and Henderson are the obvious 3 that England fans would want. But given the circumstances, I would rather have Johnston over Ramsdale, and I think everybody would agree on that. Right then, guys, next up, we'll go through the defenders. So, big talking point from the defenders situation is that Ben Godfrey and Ben White have been selected for this 33-man provisional team. Don't get me wrong, both had really good seasons for their clubs. We all know as Leeds fans how good Ben White is, especially in the Championship for Leeds last season. But this season for Brighton, he has played really well. He showed that he can adapt to different areas of the pitch in which he can play really well. Ben Godfrey as well has quite surprised me, actually. I know he was good at Norwich, but I thought when he moved to Everton that it was a bit of a too big of a step up for him, but he has massively proved me wrong. He's had an unbelievable season. All that being said, I highly doubt that Godfrey and White will actually be in the 26-man team, but fair play to them. You know, they've been picked, rightfully so. They deserve the chance to go at it and see if they can get into Southgate's plans. I just highly doubt that, given the other centre-back options that we've got, you know, Stones and Harry Maguire seem to be the set partnership. If he goes with a back 4, then you've got Mings, Connor Cody, etc., who have all had really good seasons as well. So yeah, highly doubt that Godfrey and White will get picked for the main squad, but fair play to them on this occasion. Another talking point that for me shouldn't even really be a talking point is if Trent will get picked for the 26-man team. He's been picked today in the 33-man team, obviously, but there's a lot of questions whether he will get picked over the likes of Kieran Trippier, Reece James, etc. Don't get me wrong, Reece James has played really well for Chelsea. He's proved that he can play on the right side of a back 3 and at right wing back as well. But for me, Trent, yeah, he is a lot better going forward than he is defensively. Sorry, but you know the assists, the balls into the box, his pace going forward. For me, it's a no-brainer. I'm not saying he should start over Kyle Walker. I think Kyle Walker is our number 1 right back, as he is amazing going forward and amazing defensively. He can also play on the right side of a back 3. If he does go with a back 3 and plays Kyle Walker on the right side of that, you could quite easily argue that Alexander-Arnold could go in at right wing back. But I do think that Southgate will go for a back 4 in a lot of these games. So it's highly probable that you're going to see Kyle Walker start at right back over Trent. But I still think Trent should be in the squad because there's times when we may need him to start certain games or to come on and make an impact. Obviously, the left back options, you know, you've got Luke Shaw, Chilwell and things like that. For me, Luke Shaw starts over Ben Chilwell, but they both get picked for the 26-man squad. So yeah, other than White and Godfrey, no real talking points in this team. I think all these defenders have a right to be in this team. I'm not sure who he will leave out other than Godfrey and White, but we'll soon find out next week. On to the midfielders now then, guys. And first of all, as a Leeds fan, just want to say huge congratulations to the Yorkshire Pearl himself, Calvin Phillips, for getting into this 33-man provisional squad. I highly expect that he will be in the 26-man squad next week as well. Whether he starts a game at the Euros or not, for me, he has to be an option in the CDM role for England. The other midfielders in this 33-man squad, should I say, I fully expected to be in there. You know, Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham is only 17 years old. What a talent he is. You know, he's played a big part in Dortmund's season, from what I've seen of him in the Champions League as well. And for England, the games that he's played this season, he looks way older than what he is in terms of how he plays. He's a very intelligent young lad. And I fully expect him to make the 26-man team as well. Jesse Lingard as well. You know, after a frustrating first half of the season, scum, Man United, but, you know, scum. He's gone to West Ham and what an unbelievable second half of this season he's had, scoring goals, assists, and just enjoying his football again, and rightfully deserves to be in this England squad. The one that kind of baffles me out of the midfielders, some people may not agree with this, but for me, it does just baffle me, is James Ward-Prowse. Don't get me wrong, you know, he has had a good season in a shite Southampton team. But for me, in terms of CDM, you've got Rice, Henderson, and Phillips. Whoever Southgate chooses to start as a 2 or as a 1 out of those 3 is up to him, and I'm sure that we'll find out in a few weeks. But for me, those 3 are the only DM options that I would take. James Ward-Prowse, fair play, is in this 33-man team, but if it were me, he doesn't make the 26-man team for me. I may be proven wrong, but yeah, he's the only one in there that kind of baffles me. But everyone else, I fully expected to make it, and I'm really excited to see who he chooses next week. And finally, guys, we'll just touch on the forwards that have been selected today by Gareth Southgate. So the obvious no-brainers were selected, you know, the likes of Harry Kane, Rashford, Foden, Sterling, etc. But as a Leeds fan, I just have to briefly touch upon how Patrick Bamford was not at least selected for this 33 provisional squad. I'm not going to sit here and say that Paddy should be leading the line for England against Croatia in that first game, or even in the 26-man squad. But to not even be in this 33-man squad and get the chance to prove to Southgate that he can be at least an option, maybe off the bench in certain games in this Euros, is just baffling. How has he not been selected? Over Ollie Watkins? How is Ollie Watkins in this team? Don't get me wrong, Ollie Watkins is a good striker. You know, he's had a good season for Aston Villa. But Bamford's on way better form. He's got more goals and assists combined than Ollie Watkins. He presses more than Ollie Watkins, even though Southgate said the complete opposite earlier on this season, which was baffling in itself. We all know the work rate that Bamford can put in. He could come on and tire defences out at the latter stages of games in this Euros, but he's not even going to even get the chance to prove his worth in this England team. And for me, it's just an absolute joke. But onto a more positive note, though, I think the attacking options that we've got in this team are just amazing. You know, the likes of Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, Sancho, Sterling, Saka. You know, we have got some really good talent. I can't wait to see who Southgate chooses for that first starting 11 against Croatia. It's going to be really interesting to see. What I will do is when he picks the 26-man squad next week, I'll do another reaction and I'll give you who my starting 11 would be and why. And, you know, you can hit me up in the comments next week with who your starting 11 would be. But as for this week, guys, you know, hit me up in the comments with who you think should have been included, who shouldn't have been included, that has been, and just your general thoughts on this 33 provisional squad. As I said at the beginning, guys, please smash that like button, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.